them go out to a certain extent, and then the person feeds them good knowledge and so on. So, this is the game they're playing. They're playing the same game. So it's, I don't think people should be jumping to conclusions about the loyalties quite so much. It is true that is very likely that even the people that have turned against Trump, I have to say, listen, it's not that hard to tell somebody who's against you. Like if neuro-linguistic programming, psychics around you, giving you, consulting you, and so on. I mean, all I had to do was look at Pence and I already knew he was a bad guy years ago, years. I mean, all the way back when he first showed up. Turns out he's basically, considered likely a pedophile. I'll try to be careful with my language here. So,
pederass. Let's call them pedorasses.
Oh, pederass. And, there's other things like to do with that. Okay. And things that he didn't pull through on and so on and so forth. So I don't know how to explain it other than that, to understand that, you need to see there's wolves in sheep clothing. There's sheep in wolves clothing, so to speak. It's a whole mixed bag. And it's, I don't know, there's a kind of seduction in living this way, in living in, secrecy and having layers and layers of secrecy. Maybe it's simply because they had to stay alive, okay, to do this operation, to actually try to take our country back, which I firmly believe they are trying to do.
Oh, not only they're trying to do, we're winning like 100,000 to nothing. This whole thing with Flynn, I think, is nothing more than kabuki theater, because it's the art of war. You got to keep the enemy off balance. Like if you can look at guys like Alex Jones, for example, I believe wholeheartedly that somebody went to him, and he's not compromised in the sense that he's compromised, but they say, listen, you got an audience that's 100 million strong worldwide. We need you to help us keep the enemy off balance. We want you to paint the picture like the sky is falling. And, that's where you need to go. That's the narrative for you. You're a patriot. Do us a favor. That's what you got to run on. Right. And he's doing it for God and country, because I know Alex Jones is a patriot. I think that there are various people. Yes. I mean, I think that's true to a degree with Alex, but I also think there's, patriots sort of they're now well-known patriots that broadcast, stuff, and I'm not going to name names, that are also questionable. Okay. And some of them are legitimately questionable, and and this doesn't mean that they aren't known. Okay. All I can tell you is I know so much about these things, and it's hard to say, well, I should say this or I should say that. And, it's freaking obvious. And that so-and-so has said certain things to me at certain times. And I can just go back into a litany, because I've been doing this. It's kind of insane. I've been doing this now for 17 years. So with that kind of backlog of experiences and dealing with these various players in all these different aspects, you really learn the game really well eventually. Either that or you don't survive, I would say. Yeah, well, I've been following you for probably 16 and a half of those 17 years. Okay, a long time. A friend of mine, we actually went to Tyler, Texas, and one of your so-called competitors, if you want to call him that, Dr. Stephen Greer, met us down there because he had to, there was a guy that supposedly had a technology that made cars get 182 miles to the gallon, okay? It was bullshit, long story short. But, I was in Tyler, Texas, and, there was a lot of people down there that were talking about you. And that's how I came across you. I was down in Texas and said, did you ever see Project Camelot? I said, I had no idea who Project Camelot is. Well, go to YouTube and look up Project Camelot. And I started going down the rabbit hole. And then I watched videos with you and Robert Dean and Surgeon Clifford Stone, all the big ones, right? The big boys of the ufology world. And I was completely, because see,
back in when I lived actually, you know where the building came down? By the way, I got footage of that with dynamite blowing it up down in Surfside, Florida. I'll send it to you. This will blow your mind. I got to get your actual telegram. I got all your numbers except for your telegram, and I'll send it to you personally. This is mind blowing. You can actually see.